Idealliance is a global think tank, and we're actually the only global think tank in the world, and we have 13 global offices around the world, and we're the largest certifying body globally, and we're the largest contributor to ISO standards. So the thing that we do is that we create standards, specifications, certifications, and we're very huge in implementing these. So the biggest thing that we do, and the reason we have so many offices, is changing the industry through implementation. We want people to learn, but we want them to learn hands-on. Color management is a big part of what we do, a huge part of what we do, and that really goes back to standards and specifications and data sets and profiles. So a large amount of what we do from standards and specifications is given away to the world for free. And when you work in the world of standards and specifications, you're trying to create a better world. And so you're giving away this work for free to the global industry. So it's really kind of all about collaboration. I mean, you're dealing with the world of color management. You don't set out to say, this is important because it's a moneymaker. It's important because you're trying to create value to change the industry. So when we created G7 back in 2006, we created it in mind knowing that the industry was not just offset, but it was flexo, and digital was coming about, and inkjet was going to come, and dye sublimation was going to come, industrial inkjet. So G7 covers every single print medium in the world. And now you find it everywhere in the world, working with every brand in the world, every different print medium, and every DFE in the world, and it's the largest used specification. So when you talk about color management, how that pairs down, you actually, and the reason it's been around so long and it's actually booming and growing is because we never set out to make it something that was a money maker, but something that created and changed the industry through value. So when you focus on changing something through bringing value, it becomes very perennial. When you're managing color, you have to have, there's really two specifications in the world. You have G7 and you have TVI. So, and the very important part of this is creating consistency across your entire workflow. If it's just offset, you're looking at your paper, you're looking at your press, you're looking at different substrates. But the very biggest thing is it's not going after simply a qualification that you have a sticker on your machine or a sticker on your badge or a sticker on your building. It's saying that you're putting this quality control and process control in place, and you're practicing it every single day, and you're measuring sheet after sheet, or X hundreds of sheets or X 50 sheets, to saying this is our quality control, and we're doing it through software, that everything's in line. You're doing it through spectrophotometry and densitometers and spectrodensitometers, and you're actually measuring LAB values, so the machine and process is in place. So that variation control comes into play, that is consistent run after run, so you're actually keeping things up to color, and you're standardizing. So when you job after job, or repeat after job, or press run, say if it's in Germany or Denmark or in Holland or in Latin America or in China, even the same job, if you're using the methodology and specification and consistently measuring with process control, it always looks visually similar. And that's the beauty of it. It's extremely possible, and it's much higher demand. So when years ago we talked about color management, it was stuck with just a few consultants that could do it. Now it's everyday conversation. So it's almost like the world woke up, and there's color management people in every facility, and color management people in every brand. And there's big conversations going around the world, and you see it in the press all the time saying, well, the consumer can only see a delta E of 6. That's actually not true. The human eye can see a delta E of 2, even sometimes 1 delta E. But what brands really want, because that brand integrity and consistency is actually driven by the brand wanting their consistency to be so precise, because when they put it on the shelf, they want all of that product, no matter where it is in the world, to look identical, because that's brand integrity, because that's brand quality. There's a couple of things. So if you're speaking about G7 Master with facility qualification, there's 3 levels to it. There's grayscale, there's targeted, and there's color space. So grayscale is the basic in regards to creating near neutral. Then there's targeted of hitting the specific targeted CMY, your RGB and your solids and your overlays. And then the color space is all of that plus a specific color space. So that's like the highest level of event. So if you run into that, you're basically telling people you work with, we have a process control and color management system very much in place and stabilized. So if you combine that with Brand Q, which is another certification we have, which is an ISO standard, that is even deeper, which is driving down ISO standards in every process from an audit saying all the way from creative straight down through plate making, through DFE, through light, through everything you could possibly look at within a facility, packaging or just printing, if you're doing following all these things. And remember, you can't just follow ISO standards alone, because if you did, for example, ISO standard 12647-6, which is the standard for flexo, the ISO standard for that for color, the delta E, is 5. That would never pass a brand standard, ever. It would fail every single time. So you have to use some sort of methodology in combination, like G7, in order to control and tighten up those tolerances. So when you put all that in place and kind of align them, you create a very tight process of control. And when you get the brands speaking the same language as the service providers, it doesn't matter if you're speaking Danish, Polish, German, Portuguese, or Spanish, or English, or Mandarin, Chinese, they're actually speaking the same color language. So you actually create this beautiful supply chain language of color. And that's what we're trying to create around the world with our 13 offices. We're busy. It's hard to change the world, the language of the world, and trying to create that communication. But it's working, and we work with all these brands. We work with both, very much so, around the world, because we see ourselves as collaborators. There's two types of companies or people in the world. There's givers and there's takers. And we're very much a giving organization. We live our brand through giving. And part of that is giving a couple of different ways, giving away specifications and standards. And also, if we look at younger generations coming in this industry, we give scholarships, we give certifications, we give training, so that make sure that we're giving and serving the younger generation, pulling them up into the industry. So we work with all these people because it's a whole different type of workforce coming up, and we work with equally with the whole ecosystem, from OEMs to brand, to service providers, to creatives, to print buyers. It's all in collaboration because we don't compete. So we communicate and say, what can we do to serve you? It doesn't matter if we're talking to the largest brand in the world, or to the smallest brand, or the biggest print service provider, or the smallest print service provider. We try to go out of our way to make them all feel that they're very important, so we can offer them a service and be there for them and show them that we're in the business of serving. And that's really trying to live our value system through our actions of doing what we do. And that's the basis, fundamental basis of Idealliance. So you can get involved in Idealliance because we're through our 13 different offices around the world. You can connect with us online through idealliance.org, or you can call any one of us at various different events. You can call me directly. We also make contact with tons of brands around the world and tons of service providers. For example, we work with service providers that work with maybe 1,000 brands or a couple thousand brands. So they're controlling all these different brand work. And from that, it might pair off that we're talking to 5 brands directly, helping them specifically. We'll work with anybody in the world. So during my travels, I'll run into people and saying, hey, we have a project, can we talk to you one off? Or we have a project, can we work with you one off? So we're constantly being pulled and moved around anywhere, and it's sometimes exhausting, but we're in the business of serving. And that's a great business to be in, because when you're in the business of service of others, I don't think there's any better place to find yourself, because you're constantly giving. Because when you're asking somebody, what can I do to help you? And you can give them something in return, it's an incredible gratification to be in the business of service.